Oil was always here. Our oil boom started probably at the end of 07, 08. Money was cheap, so money was easy to borrow. It's going through some challenges right now, just like Mother Nature and farming did to us last year.
So the mobile surveys that date back to 2011, and they actually started on this field. Stationary monitors or ground sampling became really laborious and expensive. They were interested in developing a quick and efficient way to monitor the entire site. I'm partnered with just this one big oil company. Because we partner directly with them, we get access to their lease roads and everywhere on site. So rather than just doing our mobile surveys on public roads, I actually get to go up and go around pump jacks and get really close to infrastructure. All that can give the company like a pretty good understanding of what events go on, like what types of infrastructure might be causing these emissions, and these emissions can be an economic loss and represent lost production. So essentially it'll help to improve them in practice and drive improvements in the industry.
Very few transit come through here. Usually it's what they do, they just stop in and ask directions.
There's still people coming to relocate. People coming for the oil and gas industry, especially from the East Coast, coming to find work.
Yep, cool, perfect. And then we'll lift the Picaro in. 3, 2, 1. Our truck has some tubing that's routed from the front of the truck to the back. Then we have a couple of gas analyzers in the back of the truck that are taking measurements of these gases every second while we're driving. And so we pre-plan these routes based on where all of the infrastructure is. We're surveying unconventional natural gas. And so we're looking for any methane or carbon dioxide or hydrogen sulfide that is leaking out of the wells. The Montney Formation is actually one of the largest natural gas reservoirs in the world, and so there's a lot of potential development that's going to be happening here in the future. So it's good to know now what the fugitive emissions are and how operators can start controlling them before the development continues to increase.
Agriculture has been a historical backbone of southeast Saskatchewan, and mining is certainly something that's been present, but it's been growing and expanding.
Quite a few of the oil field workers, believe it or not, the local guys all come off a farm, just about all of them. They all seem to carry that respect for the land. And no, we work side by side, and yeah, it's very interesting. It's not segregated really at all.
We probably have close to 35 to 40 oil leases with 3 or 4 different companies. They kind of get bought out here and there, so you're dealing with, sometimes the leases are changing throughout the year, but for the most part, we are very cooperative with that development. We're pretty pro-business and enjoy to see Western Canada become developed and help make our country richer.
I call this a false economy because of so much money in the oil patch. Seems that it's oil patch driven, like in other words, they do what they want, when they want. Okay, we're surrounded with oil, gas wells all around here, some working, some not, right? And I have no idea where they are, and I don't even know what it looks like when they're working, other than when they flare. They come around 3 times a year, knock on the door, come in, sit down, give you the whole pack, especially the pipeline guys. They do a fantastic job of informing you what they're doing. When they give you the escape plan, that's when you take a deep breath. There's an escape plan from my house.
Even though large emissions or big leaks are well understood and prevented usually, small leaks, they can have a cumulative impact, so it can reduce your emissions significantly. So the field is 2% sour, so it contains H2S, and H2S is a dangerous gas. It's fatal at 1,000 parts per million. It also has a really stinky smell, so a lot of complaints arise from that.
I'm 15 miles away from the oil patch, and I rarely ever smell any H2S here. But the people that live there, a lot of them seem to know about it. You know, battery operators that come out and check the pump jack say, you know, this well's pretty sour, keep your kids away from it. They'll consult, maybe we have to fence that pump jack off if there's cattle on that pasture, keep them away from the wellhead. I don't want to breathe any of that stuff for any reason.
Frobisher oil formation has a lot of H2S gas. So some of these oil sites come close to farmyards, and so there's sensitivity to that smell, but they're doing a better job of containing that smell and managing it through incinerators and or capturing it in the fluid or what have you. Probably some of the larger worldly oil companies might have access to that technology because maybe they're using it in other jurisdictions or other countries. But I hate to say it, but they could be the leaders in some of that, but not necessarily. I do know myself from my home and my acreage that the one smaller entity wasn't doing that great of a job of managing. They were constantly getting alarms and were constantly smelling releases of gas that wasn't being managed well. Ultimately, within 1 or 2 years, that battery site was sold, and the new entity was a Calgary-based company, and they had that problem fixed up within 1 year or so.
The smaller farmers have been bought out, and there's 3 or 4 owners, big owners, that have quite a bit of the land around here and around Dawson Creek, out from Dawson.
I think the winds of change are here. In my very unpopular opinion, we have to find new energy sources. We can build and adapt and grow to accommodate those new things, and all these people will still have jobs. It'll just be in a different industry, so that we all have to be adaptable to keep our planet healthy and to keep everybody around us healthy and to move forward.
I was looking down, did we just pass by another well or facility?
I didn't actually notice.
Like when you turned around there, was there anything?
Oh, there was, yeah.
Okay, because it's going up again.
Really? Is CO2 going up, or? So I wonder, is it just from turning around, or was it?
No, it's definitely just the methane.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah. It's really cool, the distinct peaks.
Yeah. One of the benefits of natural gas is that it releases a lot less carbon dioxide when it's combusted, and so people often think of it as a cleaner fuel, or it's a coal or oil, but if all of these fugitive emissions are happening during the process of fracturing or even as they're producing from the well afterwards, then it might not be as clean as people are thinking. So it takes all of this information to really know what our best choices are in terms of energy.
We're still going to have a viable oil field, it's just that it's going to look different. There's also going to be an amalgamation of some of the oil companies. I hate to say that, but maybe some of it wasn't managed quite correctly. They're going to get swallowed up by the big boys.
Well, it's not our first rodeo. We've seen this before. In 2008, 2009 was our last dip in oil prices, and they felt that maybe it should have lasted longer. And nobody likes to talk that way, but that's how markets work.